Welcome to Married AF. We are your hosts, Brooke and Randall Fowler. On this show, we discuss the topics that really matter.
Like big veiny cocks and our favorite TV shows.
So pull up a chair at our kitchen table and hang out.
While I bulldog my nuts. Howdy.
What up?
Episode 57.
Nailed it.
Coming to you now from the Fowler home. Happy holidays.
Happy almost Thanksgiving.
Every time we do an opening, I feel like the Molly Shannon and that lady skit where they're like, I love biscuits.
The sweaty balls.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how every episode starts.
I feel like you make yourself sound like morose when we start. Like you're fine, talking normal, and then we start and you're like, hi.
That's way too fancy of a word for me to know, so I'm going to take it as disrespect. Watch your mouth and help me with the sale.
Sorry.
Morose. Who you? That's way too nice. It's one of your dad's words.
Well, for sure it's one of my dad's words.
Fancy.
It's the only one that came to my head, though. I don't know.
Now, episode 57. Powerful, wonderful Rachel Miller will be joining us shortly.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. We need to call her.
Okay. She'll be joining us in seconds.
Hang on. Hold, please.
So be prepared.
Hold on to your tits.
Boom.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are ya?
Wonderful.
We're glorious.
Good.
How are you?
I am good, thanks.
Are you ready for the holidays?
No, never.
Is your tree up? Yes or no?
Fuck no.
Ours is up, blazing.
Oh, you're those people.
Oh, God, yes.
God, yes, we are. And this is actually, I mean, it's usually as soon as Halloween's over, pretty much, we're putting the fucking Christmas decorations up. Of course, it has to go in the right order now, because Halloween's like my favorite.
Okay.
Or it's like almost even, Halloween and Christmas. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, we have Halloween shit up, though,
In September.
in June. So,
Yeah, no.
I like being festive.
I worked retail for like 20 years. I hate the holidays.
Oh, I support retail, so I have to work Friday morning.
Oh, fuck that. No.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it. I'm pissed, but...
no, I worked for years in retail of having no absolute zero holidays. Zero. I mean, every weekend and holiday we were in the stores.
Yep.
Brutal. It makes you...
And it's not that I don't do Christmas, right? Like, but it belongs where it belongs. I also have a December birthday, so that's some of the thing too. Tree doesn't go up until the weekend closest to my birthday. It's sort of the thing, like it's attached to my birthday and it can't happen before Thanksgiving. Like,
Yeah, my birthday is November 28th.
okay.
So
I feel it.
I get the Thanksgiving mixture residue.
Gotcha.
Yep, and our son's birthday is the 23rd, so
Gunner, yeah.
Okay.
it's just a happy, joy time around here.
No, we go balls to the walls from Halloween to
March.
Thanksgiving to birthdays for all of us until March. Like every month is something. And then it's just hot.
I'm good with that. I like hot. Hot is good.
Yuck.
Yeah, so how's everything been since feels like forever? Every time we wait a full month.
I know.
I feel
Tom
like-
said that too. He's like, you haven't talked to them in forever. I'm like, well, I talk to them regularly on like social media, but no, I haven't talked to you guys in ages.
I know. It does
So,
feel like forever.
Sorry to cut you off, babe, but I was just thinking about this with you. Didn't you do another episode with Miles that was unusable or something?
Yes.
That
we
sucks.
had massive issues, and it really sucked because we had some really great conversations, and so like I think we're all super mad about it.
Was
but
it like
I don't know
technical
what
issues?
happened. I had issues when I recorded with Jody too, though, and so like we had our router redone and like all kinds of stuff because we were pretty sure that it was on our end.
Yeah.
So hopefully tonight is okay. But if it's not, then we're gonna have to figure out something because when it was both Miles and Crawford and Jody having issues with, I'm like, okay, then it's got to be me.
Yeah.
It has to be my end.
Yeah, I heard
you sound
you
good
with,
now.
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay.
And I heard you with Jody when y'all started, and you were like, hey, I had this with a broken rant. You know how we disconnected and connected right back
Oh,
up?
yeah. I forgot that the last time.
Because at about an hour, Skype tends to drop.
It's like,
Okay.
fuck you.
It's right
stop.
at the
Yeah.
hour mark. It's like, this is too long. So we won't even, if we have that issue again, if we go over, we'll do the same thing. We'll just stop, disconnect, connect back, because it fixed it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what it was, but yeah, we were super bummed. We're trying to re-coordinate to do another episode with them, but with holidays and all of the rest of that we've just our schedules don't always align very well.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a good time. Like, yeah, they're fun to be with. Like, even doing Jody's podcast was a really good time. That was fun. He's such a sweetheart.
Oh, yeah. I talked to him about an hour ago. He called me, and I told him, I was like, yeah, we're going to be going on with Rachel here shortly. He said, well, go ahead if you don't mind and you have time. Tell her that her episode's doing great and that it was awesome. So, nothing but good things. I listened to that episode, of course. I thought it was awesome. I felt like... Honestly, I was like, God, they didn't even get to scratch this. Once somebody starts with you, though, you can't just do one Rachel episode. I mean, you just too much because it's your job is to dig and,
Yeah, like we didn't even get to touch like a lot of stuff with Jody that I thought maybe we would, and so I'm like, maybe we'll jump in on that on another time. And the truth of the matter is what I love about these is that I'm so curious just about people in general. Like, we are where we are because of everything that's happened in our life. And I'm just curious. Like, I'm really just curious about how we get places. And so I could talk to lots of people forever.
Oh, yeah. Wait till you get to when Brooke reads you question number 5 tonight from one of my good buddies. That just started a podcast.
Is that Shane?
Yep, Shane Brazelton.
Okay, because he sent me a message and he tried to give me some context himself, but he was having issues with his phone, and I'm like, okay, just whatever you send is fine.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool.
He has got some doozies for you. So let's jump on in, babe. You can start with number question 1 if you want.
Numero uno. We're going to go in order apparently this time, Rachel. He promised.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to do it. I'm going in order. I'm going to prove it, and I'm going to do it.
And I don't believe you.
The first surprising thing is that they're actually like numbered in order. He didn't like write a list and then say, no
arrows or anything making them jump places.
Circles. Yeah. All right. So here's the first one. And this is all about family stuff, babe.
I just said anything holiday related, and most of it
holidays,
is basically,
yeah.
Here's what I didn't realize, Rachel, and I think you did when you brought this up, because I'm going to be told when you were like, let's talk about family issues around the holidays. I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know if anybody is going to have those. And then we've got people are miserable. I love the holidays. To me, they're the best time of the year, but there are some people that are miserable. Okay, go ahead, babe.
If you've got trouble in my industry, what we call it is like your family of origin, the holidays they're not good. They're not fun. They're not pleasant. It's all about obligation versus, I'm so excited to see these people. It's like, which of these things do I have to attend? And how do I be in a space with people I really don't like, or there's some of them that I don't like? It's not an easy thing to maneuver unless you've got like this really awesome family. And I'm thrilled for people who have that. It's just, it's not as common as I wish it was. Yeah,
they make movies about all this, but yeah, I think I'm the lucky one that I'm like, yay, the holidays. I love my family. Let's hang out all the time. Anyways. Okay. So, number 1, my in-laws expect us to spend the entire day with them and have no respect for the fact that we want to spend Christmas Day with our daughter, just us. What do I say? What do I do? How do you do the holidays with your families? That's a whole lot of fucking questions all in one, by the way.
There's more.
Everything I said last year fell on deaf ears, and I know I'm going to have to deal with it again. It completely ruined the holiday for us. I'm already so stressed out. Would also like to add, as a bit of a rant, that none of these freaking people make time to come visit their granddaughter. They complain to everyone how they never see her. And expect me to bend over backwards for them when I have to have an open invitation for them to visit, but they don't take advantage of it. I don't drive and I don't do anything. They can literally come whenever their schedule is open. Not once have they. All of the blame for this and for the holidays is being placed on me, though. I have no idea what to do anymore. Yeah, I mean, if you had the little kid, I feel like, to some degree, like, come on, people. Come to the kid.
Well, I mean, the thing is different families have different rules around this, right? Like, this is something I work with people in therapy around all the time. What are the rules that create your family? We all have them. The things that are allowed to be broken, the things that are allowed to be questioned, the things that aren't. And whenever you bring two people together, you're bringing all of those family rules to the forefront. And whether or not you question them or you decide to create different rules for your nuclear family, some of that depends on where that comes from. So if her partner is not willing, well, it says in-laws, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's no mention of a partner in here at all. So it's like, okay, you got to have somebody back you up too. I think that might be part of the problem.
Yeah, it says our daughter.
But that becomes challenging.
Right.
Like, if you come from a family where those rules are never challenged and, like, I don't know, so you have a mother-in-law who is the matriarch of this family, and the expectation has always been that what she wants is what she gets, and the kids grew up understanding that those are the rules, they're not suddenly going to decide they want to question those, because it's just the way we do things. Like, why do you question that? So some of this comes down to, like, having a really open conversation about, well, what are the rules exactly? Like, and a lot of them aren't stated, right?
It's just
we don't
inferred.
Yeah. It's just, when you live in the family for a long time, you figure out what the rules are.
Right.
But if they're, like, and to your point, Brooke, I think you're right. In some ways, you have to get backing around this, because if you're going at it solo, that's tough.
You're spinning your wheels, I'm sure. Like, yeah, lady.
Because then they're looking at you going, what's wrong with you? And why can't you just fit in our family the way that everybody else fits in our family?
Right. Why can't you just follow the rules like everybody else?
Right. But also, you as a partnership get to sit down and say, okay, what is it we really want for our family? And are we willing to put boundaries around our family? Maybe the answer is no, because maybe the ramifications for doing so are too great. I don't know. But if you have a new nuclear family, right? Like newer, maybe it's a newer by like less than 5 years old, right? Like you have a small child, you have a toddler, you have an infant. And so for for whatever amount of time you followed the family rules, but now you have your own nuclear family that you're trying to figure out. You're going to have to sit down together as a unit and decide how you want to run that, and decide how you're going to place those boundaries, because that's not easy. You may have to look at the mother-in-law and say, so here's the thing. We understand that this is the way Christmas has always been done. But we have a child now, and we'd really like to spend some time at home and let her have some space with her, with the toys at our own house. So we'd really like to maybe not come over until 3, or whatever it is you decide to, some of it's going to require compromise, but you get to put boundaries up as long as, everybody, like the unit's in agreement, because you're going to have to stand as a united front to change the rules. That's not fun or easy.
No, I mean, it's also an opportunity or a risk of really alienating your spouse or partner. If you leave them on this island too long, that's never going to be good. Because I mean, at some point, you have to. To me, this is my piece of how I look at it is that there comes a time where, you have to pick your spouse. This is, again, just me. Your spouse has to be number one. And that's just, to me, that's saying that they're not number one. I don't care who the matriarch or the king of the family or queen is. At some point, you have to say, you know what, if this is a woman writing, her husband or partner would say, you know what, you're ruining the holidays for my wife. She's miserable these last 2 years. She loves you guys, but, she just had a baby and she wants to be at home. Can y'all just be cool and fucking come here?
And the other thing I would offer on that, because I don't disagree with you, and I think there's different cultural pieces around some of that too. Like, we don't have the cultural background of this particular family, so that's worth taking into consideration. But also, in what ways can you compromise, and in what ways can you say, we'd like to start some of our own traditions? Like, there's ways to do this that are kinder, and ways to do it that might be less conflictual.
Look at you being less abrasive.
Yeah. It's not easy, right? Like, combining two families is never fun. It's the same kind of thing when people have to, split their holidays, and how do you split them, and who gets to decide, and, what are the ramifications if you don't comply with the way things have, quote unquote, always been. So my family, for example, my mother's birthday is on Christmas Eve. So we spend Christmas Eve with my mother. Like, that's just like, we go to my parents' house, and, we all pretty much, and I worked retail for years, but it was always like, I worked the morning of Christmas Eve so I could make sure I was at the Christmas, have to do Christmas Eve at my mom's. That's the thing we did. Will it always be that way? I don't know. Like, when my kids start to have kids, will we change that? We might. Will it probably cause some conflict? Probably.
Yeah.
Up to now, that's what we do.
But you don't even know, your mom could be like, cool, I was wanting to change this up a little bit for years.
Or maybe she'll be like,
don't know.
What are y'all doing? I'll just come to you. Like,
no, I think a lot of times we all make assumptions of how everyone is going to handle our requests, and we build up, and I am so guilty, to where you can see from my little response just a minute ago, I'll come out of the gate so aggressive unnecessarily, like, you motherfuckers always make us come here.
No, you do not. You say that to me, but then to anybody else, you're like, yeah, sure, we'll try and make it. And I'm like, we're not going. Why do you say that?
Well, that's not even what I'm talking about, though. You're right, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is anytime that there is a understood rule, I hate that. And there's no denying that. I will go against it. It can be like, everybody
You're
agrees.
just a rebel.
Well, I don't know. It's like, I don't like to be mandated. So if the expectation is that my ass is going to be there at 8.
Oh, yeah. Don't tell me where I'm going to be.
I'm going to be there next Friday at 2.
Or never.
But if you're just like, hey, we'd love to have you, but whatever. I'll be like, I'm going to be there when it starts. What time? And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm wrong. But that's how I am.
No, what it says to me is that you really dislike being dictated to.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not unusual. In some ways, a lot of us show up in families the way we were in families. So if you were sort of the rebel in the family to begin with, you're still going to show up that way. Like, the holidays and things like that trigger us to take on roles that we did when we lived at home, and that shit shows up in all kinds of ridiculous ways. You might show up as the angry teenager. You might show up as the petulant 5-year-old. It just depends on what your role was in your family, and you still show up that way. It's embarrassing, and you walk away later and go, how did that even happen?
Oh, that's so true. I didn't think about this, babe, but that's so funny, because if you go back, and I could see how this could be a problem for some people. I enjoy it, but like she was saying, if you were the black sheep of your family,
like
right,
me?
of your siblings, and you
like
you
me?
were, Sure. We'll use you as an example. And you were like, getting in trouble for smoking cigarettes and, you came home one night drunk and shit your shit. Like,
no.
And you've got kids now. You're still going to be the kid that shit themselves and smoked cigarettes and got in trouble all the time. And those stories are, it's just funny.
Well,
it all shows back up. And this is why people don't like the holidays. If you weren't somebody who had this really great, like, memorable, pleasant childhood, the holidays don't necessarily bring back all kinds of great stuff for you. Like,
you just own your shit, babe, so nobody can throw it at you.
Yeah, that was all me. I was the black sheep of the family. I did so much stupid shit as a teenager and wore stupid clothes and I was just ridiculous. And I'm almost 40 years old now and a mom, and I still hear it from my brother-in-laws mostly, but I'm like, yep, that was funny. And it's fun to me to talk about all that stuff about like how ridiculous I am, but that's exactly what it always turns into on the holidays. Not that, we see my family all the time, but it just seems like when it's Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff, we end up talking about like a bunch of ridiculous old times and it's fun to me and in some cases it really is, but in some families and in some, depending on the circumstances, it can really be painful. And the idea of going home for Christmas or spending, weekends with extended family is just, it's this thing you do because you believe you're obligated to do so, and it's not a good time, and that's hard. Like, we have all these expectations around the holidays, and not every family lives that reality. If you do, I'm so happy for you, because it makes this time fun and a good time. Like, but for some people it's really challenging, and figuring out how to maneuver that is hard. Like, if it's not fun for you, it's not a good time. How do you maneuver that in a way that still feels helpful? Right, to where you're not causing a big scene and like ruining everybody else's time.
So to this listener, she should what would you reckon? Should she go to her spouse first?
I think her and her partner need to have a really serious conversation about what they want for the holidays for themselves as a family, and really try to explore, like, what are the rules? Like, maybe they're trying to follow rules that aren't really in existence anymore. Or maybe maybe they are willing to challenge the rules, and how do they do that in a way that feels good for them and allows them to put boundaries in place for their nuclear family that doesn't necessarily alienate, the extended family, but lets you feel good about both. And that's not always easy to maneuver. And that's more challenging if you have a spouse who's like, but I like it the way it is, or I don't want to challenge my family. And in those situations, therapists can be really helpful as to how to like dig through some of that family history stuff so that you can do it in a way that feels better. And sometimes mother-in-laws, some are better than others about this adjustment, but most of the time they want what's good for their kids. They want what's good for their grandkids. And so, if you do these things in a way that's, more like we want to create some new traditions, and we're not trying, we really aren't trying to cut you out. We're really trying to, but we really want to do this. This is really important to us. A lot of times the mother-in-laws will come around. Mothers-in-law get a really bad rap. And not all of them are that bad. And I acknowledge not all of them are great. But know that you and your partner are on the same page and that you're having the same conversation. And if it's their parent, they might need to lead that conversation.
Oh, yeah. You're fucked if they don't.
No, I think that's for sure who should lead it. Hey, I think we need to do one of these shots.
Oh, yeah. Let's do the muscle vodka real quick.
Which one?
The not black one.
You said it was not.
I said it was not whiskey. It's not whiskey. This is muscle vodka.
I don't know. He's trying to trick me.
No, it's not. You'll taste it and then I'll explain it to you. Right. Salud and happy
Cheers.
Holidays, everyone. Delicious.
That was a big shot.
Mm-hmm. That's just a pineapple tits with a splash of the hot stuff.
Yeah.
Just a dash.
That's interesting.
It was good. All right, Rachel. This one is funny, I think only to me because I'm such a picky eater. I hate going to family members' homes for Thanksgiving because most of my husband's family can't cook for shit. Everything is filled with bacon and other nasty ingredients. I end up eating 2 bites and spend the rest of the year knowing that they all hate me. Why can't they just come to my house every year? I'm the better cook. It's crazy. It's crazy, but, you know, I'm like a picky eater, so I get, but, I mean, they're extreme, of course, but people will get, I guess they stress out about everything around the holidays. Shit.
Well, I also think, like, this reminds me, too, of people with, like, food sensitivities or food allergies and, you know, family members who don't take that stuff into consideration or think like, oh, it's just one day, you can eat what you want, not understanding that that person might pay for that for a week, you know, or months, depending on what their situation is. Or if you have kids who won't eat anything, like I had those kids.
We've got those kids.
Right? Like you go somewhere and they won't eat anything on the table.
When Griffin's
like,
here
nothing.
for Thanksgiving, I think he eats a roll.
Yes. That's my kids too, right?
I'm like, happy Thanksgiving, Griffin.
Yeah, his Thanksgiving plate was the most miserable thing I've ever seen.
I was so annoyed. Right. I'm like, eat some mac and cheese. For Christ's sake, be a kid. Like, something.
No, McLaren would never eat anything. McLaren, if eventually she would eat mashed potatoes and she would eat a roll. Like that was her Thanksgiving dinner.
Griffin.
She won't eat stuffing. She won't eat, you know, turkey. She wouldn't eat like a vegetable, like nothing.
Yeah, Gunner's becoming the same way, except for at school. Randall sent me pictures of him at his damn school Thanksgiving eating ham and like all this shit on his plate. I'm like, what? When does that happen?
McLaren's favorite Thanksgiving was the year that Tom's aunt made both turkey and ham for Thanksgiving. And McLaren was like, why can't we do this every year? What is wrong with you people?
You guys suck. We're coming here every year for Thanksgiving.
Right. But so as someone who for a long time dealt with some serious food sensitivities, like I went probably 3 years without eating any dairy. That was really challenging, particularly at the holidays when people are like, oh, sure, I basted the turkey in butter and there's, you know, milk and butter in the mashed potatoes. And I could eat nothing.
No butter?
No, I couldn't eat butter. I couldn't
dairy?
eat it was bad. So in situations like that, what I learned to do was just sort of bring an extra dish that I knew I could eat. Sometimes that allows you to be like, okay, I know I can eat something. I know there'll be, you know, at least, and let it be something that, you know, can like hold you over. So maybe don't just bring a salad, right? Like bring like
something of substance,
a little something more substantial, and figure out if that's a way you can get through to that. And then, you know, offer like, how many years can you host? Like, can you make it so that you host a year, they host a year, then you host again, and then somebody else does?
That's kind of what we do in my family. We throw it around. It used to be like for years, it was like every Thanksgiving was at one of my sister's houses, and then every Christmas was at my parents' house, and then it evolved to every Thanksgiving was still at the one sister's house, and every Christmas started to be at my other sister's, and then now it's like we kind of just, ever since I had a baby, we kind of just toss it around. Like we've done Thanksgiving and Christmas here a couple times. We're going to do Christmas here this year and Thanksgiving at one of my sister's houses because, you know, every once in a while one of them travels and stuff. And that's worked really well because then it's not all the pressure isn't on one family every single year for one of the holidays. Because then it's nice. It's not like, because year after year, even though, you know, Beth might say like she loves hosting Thanksgiving, it's got to be like, it's got to wear on you year after year after year after year, like doing it every single, I mean, so you want to break sometimes.
Right. Look, it's the one meal that I don't like. I will cook a full Thanksgiving without any hesitation. I love it. I'm good at it. It's great. It's fabulous. Sometimes even if we go somewhere else, I'll still cook at home. just because I want, like, don't get to take leftovers home from other people's houses, and I want to be able to make turkey salad and turkey soup and barbecue turkey and all the leftovers. So I'll cook an extra meal at my own house sometimes. But this year we're going away, and I'm actually like, oh, this is nice to not have to cook this year.
Yeah, you're not having to fight everybody at the grocery store.
Right. That's the part I don't like. I will cook. I hate the grocery shopping part. But I think if you have a family who feels really strongly that, like, everyone needs to take a turn, like, is there a way for you to volunteer an extra turn? You know, is there ways for you to, you know, to get in on what you bring that actually allows you to eat?
Right. Like, so for this person's question, like, instead of being like, why can't they just come to my house every year? Like, why don't you just maybe approach it more like, you know, we could do a holiday at our house next, or like maybe we all pitch in and bring something. So you're not, because that's also what we do. Like for Thanksgiving, we also, like, it's not 100% of the responsibility on the host.
Right.
Like we just don't show up like hungry. like we'll bring like green bean casserole and deviled eggs, and I think we're gonna bring a ham or something. But I mean, like, you know, I think that would be a good suggestion for them. Like maybe not just try and shift it completely to your house every single year. That would be abrupt.
Yeah, I mean, you should, as a family unit, a functional one. Like Brooke's family is a well-oiled machine. I've always said that they're a poster card family. Like you were saying, you're happy, which is great. It is such a stress-free environment, and
That's awesome.
So one thing they do really well is they know what everyone's wheelhouse is.
Mm-hmm.
Good call. Yeah.
And so why not take advantage of that? When you got one that is a pro, you know, baker. Her sister Beth can bake her tits off, and anything is amazing.
Yeah.
So no one even tries to ever bring desserts anywhere because that's her wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's my mom's thing. We just let my mom bring dessert regardless. It's
going to be better.
Deal.
Yeah, it's going to be better than anything
Everyone
of us
wins.
will make anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, when you can, and look, and some of this too is beginning to question, like, why do we do it this way? Right? Like, why is this the thing we do all the time? Why, like, do we always have to do it this way? Is it possible to do something else? Begin to question, like, is there an opportunity to ask questions? Is there an opportunity to try something different? Sure, if it flops, okay, cool. We go back to the whatever way. But, you know, opening up conversations and being willing to sort of go, I wonder why we do it this way. Like, I wonder why this is the thing that we think we need to do. Like, I wonder if other families do it differently, and allow that to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think people nowadays, it is a little different to where if somebody will kind of spearhead the conversation, people want to work smarter and not harder anymore.
Yeah, but if nobody's brought it up.
And you have the chance in the holidays, everyone could operate much more efficiently if they just, you know, stepped away for a second from the so-called traditional expectation of everything and just was like, how can we work this out logistically?
Right.
Is culinarily a word?
It is now.
Culinarily. All those things. And, you know, shit, there's apps for that shit, I'm sure, somewhere.
Well, because I feel like a lot of the answers sometimes are going to be like just because that's the way we've always done it.
Yes.
And I hate that answer. It's like, well, then that's stupid. Then let's try something different. And
well, let's be real. That's how so many people function. And, you know, this requires, you know, some actual critical thinking skills to be willing to question what's always been and to decide that, hey, maybe we want to do this a little differently.
Yeah. All right. So here's one that is not so jolly.
Okay.
Simply put, my family is full of grudges and alcohol. Holidays are supposed to be full of good feelings, but every time one comes around, someone mysteriously pulls up drama from 1992 and just ruins everything. That's what we talked about earlier. So I'm just going to work. Wait, so I'm just going to work. Does that make me a bad person? Oh.
No.
No,
Absolutely
fuck no.
No.
Amen.
And this is the other part about the holidays, right? Like, there's these ideas about, like, you only have one family, like you need to make it work and you need to show up. And in some ways, maybe I'm different than some therapists and whatever. But my thing is that family of choice is sometimes better than family of origin. Mm-hmm. And if you can do a Friendsgiving that feels more meaningful for you than spending time with your family where you leave feeling like total shit.
Yeah.
No, doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who actually maybe decided to put some boundaries up for yourself about, what's good for you. And does it mean that like you never have to speak to your family again, or that you never attempt to figure stuff out with your family? No, but also I don't buy into this like you must make yourself miserable because you only have one family. Like,
no.
It doesn't work for me.
No, it doesn't
can't you
work
say
for
something
me.
to him and be like, hey, man, why don't you quit fucking bringing up shit that always causes an argument, and let's just hang out and try and not be assholes to each other? And
sometimes that works. In some families, that's an option. In other families, it's not, because then what it means is that you're acknowledging that, like, we're not the perfect family, and you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're just supposed to freaking show up and keep your mouth shut, or do what we always do. Or sometimes there's just that one person who can't move past the thing that happened. But you don't have to subject yourself to that. Like, you get to make choices around that. Now, understand that there might be ramifications for those choices, and you might have to deal with those. But if that feels less harmful than spending time with your family, then no, work. I did that a lot.
Work is a perfect excuse. I mean, for all they know, if you're choosing to, then like good for you. And you can just be like, oh, weird, I have to work. Like,
right. Sorry, can't hang out this weekend.
I know.
No, I think it's a totally self-preservation is essential. I love the holidays so much that I won't let anyone shit on my holidays.
No, exactly.
So if you fuck with me during the holidays, it's a bye-bye to you, sir. For at least till January. I'm not gonna, we're just gonna forget about you for a little while, not forever.
Right.
Call you later.
But I think to Brooke's point, yes, sometimes you just actually need to have the very open conversation of, look, I'd like to come for the holidays, but when I leave your house, I feel like shit. Because somebody's always got to talk about stupid crap, and somebody always has to, be, Debbie Downer over in the corner bitching about something that happened 20 years ago. And that's just not a good time for me. And I don't really want to do that. And if we can talk about like maybe setting up some guidelines about things we're not going to talk about this holiday, or that we're really going to focus on the things we're grateful for in our family, then yeah, maybe I'll see what I can do about coming. But if we're just going to do the same shit we always do, then I really don't have any desire to do that. Yeah. If that feels like a viable option, hell yeah, by all means, jump on that bandwagon. In some families, that doesn't feel like an option. And if it doesn't, I don't think you have to feel any guilt about taking care of yourself.
I agree. That's all there is to it. Take that. All right, so this one everybody's got to hold on to their anger. This one really makes me pretty pissed off. I can't believe this was actually brought up. It's pretty terrifying. My cousin was raped between the ages of 3 and 12 by one of my uncles. When she was older, she started talking about the rapes. The dude was arrested. My dad and other uncles testified, but he only got 3 years of probation.
What?
Suddenly, after years, all of the elders in the family, which kind of goes to Rachel's patriarch.
Elders.
Elders in the family want us to be forgiving, and they want all of us, including my cousin, to sit across the same table as this guy.
No, fuck you.
How could they even ask that?
Nope.
That's fucking crazy.
No. Why would you want to
ask that? Families ask that all the time.
That's
It's a regular ask in families, because at the end of the day, what you're asking for is loyalty. And it shouldn't matter what happened, because ultimately we are family and we are supposed to stick together. And this is not the only family that shows up in. It shows up regularly.
It's horrifying.
There are lots of families who have, who have a sexual abuse history in them, who then ask these same members to sit around the table and pretend like it didn't happen, or like, let's put on a good front for going to church on Sunday, on Christmas morning, or whatever the case may be.
Why though? Why would they think that's okay? It's not like he didn't pay her back $100. He raped her when she was a child.
You have to sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, finish. I'm sorry. Finish.
So why would you think that's okay to want to force somebody to, it's fine. Like, just like, oh, he didn't mean it. Like, what? No, you don't force somebody to come sit across from somebody that did that to you.
The only thing I can think of, Rachel, that nothing would justify that to me, but the older generation, the way they dealt with things was you just don't talk about it. They push it under the rug, forget about it. They plowed through. These are the people that came through, the Great Depression. Right. And everything is just, you know what? Grin and bear it. It's fine. The Lord forgives. And so do we. And like Rachel's saying, the blood is thicker than water. I'm not agreeing with that. I'm totally with you, babe. This is crazy. A lot of the
mindset, particularly
in the South.
We're talking about, particularly just older generations in that, like, let's remember this ability to talk about sexual abuse, the ability to have open dialogue about what happened. Like, people didn't used to talk about this at all. Now we talk about it. Now some families and some people hold others accountable. But in some families, they're like, well, they paid their price. Like, they went to jail. They know that what they did was wrong. And what are you going to do? Be mad at them forever? Well, and sometimes it's not about being mad at them forever. It's just about like, I don't trust you. I'm not going to be in the same space as you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to happen. And it's challenging in families. I don't pretend that it's not. There's different loyalties. Like, there's sibling loyalties, and then there's parental loyalties. But it's not, this request is not unusual. I mean, you'd think it would be, but it's not.
Yeah.
And, the survivor has to navigate this in a way that is like, excuse me, what about me?
In a way that's like, fuck you. I'm not you. Like,
right?
To me, it would be like him or me. You either want him there or you want me there. If he's there, I'm not there.
Right. And that's it's an absolutely valid response. And it's also a valid response for sometimes these things split families, right? Like, some family members, like, it sounds like this one is like, my cousin should not have to do this. And what might happen in situations like that is that the family splits and said, if this is the thing you're going to do, if this is the thing you're demanding, we're going to stand by her, and we're not doing that. We're going to go do Thanksgiving separately, or we're going to go do Christmas separately with her. And we can't believe you're going to ask this of her. It's completely inappropriate.
Right.
But sometimes people just comply because blood is thicker than water. And it depends. You'll hear things like, oh, they're old, they're, set in their ways. Is it really worth having the fight about? Can we just get along for the day?
Yeah, because if I see his face, I'm going to have a fucking anxiety, like, panic attack. And
well, yeah, I mean, it's not taking into consideration where that individual is in her own healing process.
Yeah.
Sometimes some people can, right? Like, some people can be in the space with a former abuser and be okay. Not everyone can, nor should everyone feel like they need to get there. Like, that's just not a requirement. Survivors get to heal in their own way, and they get to make those determinations for themselves. And sometimes family members have to split around that. And not all families are willing to ostracize. I mean, this is a larger example, but like, if you think about like the Catholic Church, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
for some reason, that's what was popping in my head, is like a big Catholic family.
I was going to say the word elders, like you said, that word jumped out to me, but you caught that first. Like, that sounds to me almost like a family definitely that has that would be a patriarchy, right? Or a hierarchy, whatever. Yeah, there's definitely something there.
Who's in charge and who gets to make the rules.
Like, I picture a great grandmother that's like, you sons of bitches,
walking around in a muumuu. fucking bossing everybody around.
Yeah, and I picture a great grandmother, but that still takes the side of the accuser
because it's her
grandbaby, it's her great grandson or whatever, and that women make that stuff up all the time because that's how they were just raised. Just crazy. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're also products of the environments in which they grew up. And I'm someone who believes that most parents, I think I said this on Jody's show, like most parents, not all, most parents do the best they can with where they are and what they know. And if we're talking about, older members of the family who maybe are, they're looking at the end of their lives and trying to figure out how do they maneuver that and trying to make peace with their own pasts. In some ways, it's less, and this is true of most situations, this is probably not about the victim. This is probably about the elders in the family and themselves making peace with their own stuff. And it sounds unfair and probably is unfair to this particular cousin of the listener. But it's probably not about them. It's probably not about the cousin. It's probably not about the listener. It is probably about the elders in the family trying to figure out how they make peace with things that happened in this family before they meet their maker, if that's what they believe. Like, so often we assume things are about us or are about, like, most of the time people are reacting and responding to themselves. It's about them.
Mm-hmm.
But so, as a therapist, though, and I'm pretty sure this is how you feel, but I don't want to assume. If this victim flat out does not want to do this, which I imagine would be the case, there's nothing wrong with that. Right. Her just putting, no, I'm not going and nothing to do about it.
She has already, like,
I do too.
Over the years, put her foot down and said, fuck you. I'm doing my holiday somewhere else if he's going to be there. But they continue to ask, is how I'm picturing it in my head. Because, like, she's like, how could they even, or whoever this is, how could they even ask that? Like, sure, keep asking. Still fuck you.
And and I would also, I would put this out there for the listener. Do what you need to do about this. Like, if you feel like you need to say something to the elders of your family and say what you're asking of her is unconscionable.
Agreed.
Like,
yes.
I'm not okay with what you're asking of her, and I'm going to stand by her if she doesn't want to be here. I don't blame her. She shouldn't have to do this, and I'm really appalled that you would ask.
Yeah.
Like, you get to do that too.
Oh, like, for sure. Hopefully this listener isn't going to that gathering either.
But also remember, the listener also there's ramifications to standing up, and there's ramifications to not falling in line with what the family expects. Either way, like, look, I don't have to walk in anybody else's shoes, right? I don't have to deal with the consequences of this. So I always tell people, I can say anything I want over here, right? This happens in therapy all the time. Like, these are the things that I'm thinking about. These are the things that come to mind for me when you talk to me about this particular thing. But I don't have to live with the consequences of this. Only you do, which means you need to be able to sleep with yourself at night. You need to be able to feel like the thing you did lines up with your values at the end of the day. And so only you can make the decisions around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think that it could be powerful for this cousin who is standing up for his cousin that was victimized to say one time, you know what? My family and everyone associated with me will never attend a holiday function with so-and-so, the rapist. And that's it. I love you guys. Happy holidays.
All right, but if you're going to invite him, we won't be there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like Rachel said, that's easy to say.
It's super powerful for a survivor to know that people have your back.
Absolutely. So that's
a tough one, though. Golly, that sucks.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in, right?
I just can't believe that it's, like you said,
it happens all the time.
But yeah, that just,
the
that
3 years of probation.
Probation?
For raping a girl from the age of 3 to 12?
No, that's execution.
That's 9 years.
Execution.
And That's a baby.
You should be executed.
Should be eliminated.
But these things happen in families all the time. And sometimes sometimes families don't even believe the accuser, right? Like families are like, I'm not so sure that I buy that that's what happened. I think maybe you misinterpreted, or I think maybe that's not exactly true. Maybe you're misremembering.
Yeah, she was a child. It's her imagination.
Right?
No, he should be castrated and then executed.
I'm with you.
All right.
All right. Well, yeah. What's the next one, babe?
That guy. All right. This next one is Shane's. How can someone with PTSD keep his life in balance, especially when everything comes to a head over the holidays? This is usually where I sink and burn due to Kai's birthday on November 20th, where he turns 15. That's his son that he doesn't ever see. It's been 12 plus years since I've seen him. Every time an investigator finds his mom, she moves, making it damn near impossible to take to court. My mom is on hospice, getting weaker and weaker daily from brain cancer. We lost our stepmom a little over a month ago, and my sister has planned her suicide. Jesus.
Keep going.
Oh, shit, there's more. You spaced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing good enough now that I'm holding it together at times while trying to start a podcast, just where I think it would be therapeutic. Not gonna lie, but I have weak moments often.
Yeah.
Keep on.
Oh God, it's...
Yes.
Hang on, flip the page. Christ almighty. All right. Oh gosh, okay. My wife is a mess trying to hold me together, not to mention my 3 other sons who are all my rocks. I want to be more like my brother Randall and die a little inside so it does not bother me as much. I know what I'm capable of doing, and it is much more than what I am right now. So I'm not really sure what my question is, because without context, it seems to be a waste.
All right, so let me give a little context, because I know Shane.
What's he getting at? What's his question?
I grew up with him. We were college roommates.
Okay.
Played with him in high school, played against him in football.
His question was at the beginning.
Good friend of mine.
How can someone with PTSD?
Oh, yeah. But his PTSD is a result of when he was in high school, him and another buddy of mine, Josh Hall, were basically involved in an altercation with a group of guys that pulled box cutters on them and cut them up real bad on prom night. Shane has a scar from the base of his neck basically to his ass crack, where a box cutter raked his spine just straight down the middle. When Shane takes his shirt off, it looks like John Rambo, like on his back, like he was almost like Roots, like if you saw somebody that was hit with a whip. It's crazy insane. But he never really had problems in high school and college. His PTSD kind of manifested in his adult years, and his kid, the one he's talking about, Kai, that he's had the rocky relationship with the mother, and he literally hasn't seen him in 12 years, and that kills him. And I get it. I couldn't imagine. And he's tried with all the resources he possibly could to track her down and get her to court, but she moves. She has a kid with another guy that Shane actually knows, and she's done the same thing with his child, and no one can get her into court. So you pile all that on, and his mother was just diagnosed with brain cancer. They put her in hospice at home. And so Shane's wife logically knows this is a time bomb for him. Like all this at once and the holidays coming together. So he reached out to us about starting a podcast. I know he's passionate about it, and he wants to center it around PTSD, which I can see how that'd be great to talk about it. I love the fact that he is willing to talk about it. He okayed all this being aired and wanted it. But
yeah, he reached out to me because he wanted me to have some context around this too.
Yeah, it's just a lot, but I'm pulling for him. I know he can pull through it. He's got the
Is that the only incident that caused PTSD? I mean, well,
it's led to like excessive drinking at times.
Right. I just thought there was some shit when he was a kid too, like family shit or something. That
I mean, his mom and dad had issues. His original, his biological father.
I just remember something else too. No, the fucking getting.
But yeah, he's had plenty of reasons. But he's at his core, he's one of those guys. He's the sweetest guy on earth, and he's a very loyal friend. And like he said, he has his moments.
Yeah.
But he just needs to find a way to push this, to channel it and have something he's good at again, and to realize that, this isn't none of this is his fault, and he doesn't have to carry all the burden. So go, Rachel, because that's all I know.
No, that's a really valid point. Is some of the work around this is going to be figuring out which things are his to carry and which he can set down. Mm-hmm. Nobody can carry all of this all of the time, and PTSD is hard in multiple areas. But one in particular that jumps to mind when you tell me this story is that PTSD does a really good job of convincing your brain that you should have known better, or you should have done something different. Like, it takes hindsight bias and expands it to like this unrealistic idea of what I could have done, I should have done, and you live in that world of like all the things that you didn't do. But the truth of the matter is that we're all doing the best we can with where we are and what we know in any given moment. And PTSD sort of in many ways strips you of that understanding. In a situation like this, there's multiple arenas in which this angles from which this can be approached. Because there is one specific incident that's very clear. There's a particular type of therapy called EMDR. You have to find a therapist who's certified in it. It's not something I've sought out yet. I may eventually at some point do that, but it's been shown to be really beneficial around PTSD, because it helps your brain reprocess the trauma in a way that can start to reduce that post-traumatic response. I would also say that, finding a good therapist who just does trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy can be really helpful. Simply because it's been shown to help rewire the brain a little differently. It can learn to self-soothe. You can learn to check those feelings with facts and check your unhelpful thought processes. That's actually something that I'll try to tweet some of that stuff out. Like, I have some things that I provide for clients around like what unhelpful thought processes are, how to challenge some of those when they show up in your life, because PTSD really tends to set your brain on this, like, everything becomes catastrophic, everything becomes black or white. Mm-hmm. And it becomes really easy to just follow those really sort of negative thought patterns right down the rabbit hole and stay there. I'll definitely tweet those out, but I would highly recommend finding a therapist who's familiar with trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, because this is something that's going to need support that's more than what his wife can give.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. She can't try to take all that burden on either.
Right. It's too much. And it's hard. And I would also, there's a particular approach to couples therapy called EFT, emotionally focused therapy, that has been shown to work really, really well when one member of the couple has a trauma background, because it can really help both partners figure out how to manage what's happening. Because it can all get really, really overwhelming. And when you add things like, the holiday and, how do you grieve a child that's still alive, right? Mm-hmm.
Like, grieving the relationship. Yeah.
That's really hard to do. They're still out there, but you've lost them. Mm-hmm. And in that process, having support around that can be really beneficial. And this kind of stuff is not stuff anyone should have to do alone. I would also say that, here's the reality. Not everybody has good mental health care coverage. And so this is a great time to sort of say, let me check with some of the therapists in my area and see if they have a sliding scale. Lots of them. Most therapists will have a certain number of slots that they will take. They will either do pro bono work or they will do a sliding fee scale. And some will go really, really cheap. You'd be surprised. So before ruling out, like saying, I don't have the coverage or I can't afford, look, some therapist sessions run anywhere from $80 to $250 an hour. I get that that's a lot. But ask around because there are options, particularly if you're dealing with trauma. A lot of agencies will offer sliding scales, particularly around trauma-focused therapy.
Well, I've got one question about this that I think it just blows my mind. I can't even imagine. But if you're someone that struggles with mental health and there's a justifiable reason, you've got the PTSD, but you've got, it's like 5 or 6 little bombs. He's got his sister planning to commit suicide after their mother passes from brain cancer, who's the glue of their family.
So that's I was confused with.
Yeah, she's wanting to off herself as soon as his mother passes from brain cancer. Right. She's on hospice. Jesus. He's got a kid he hasn't seen in 12 years. Right. His own PTSD, and then his wife and family at home. So that's 5 bombs. Yep. I could see him getting to a place where he's like, where do I even fucking start? There's just nowhere to start. And so how can you do you have to pick one? No,
I don't think you have to pick one. I think where you start is you start with coping skills, because these things all intertwine. And at the end of the day, you have to have some coping skills that will allow you to even get to the place where you can touch all of the pieces. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So things like mindfulness, go do some, just look it up and you'll find all kinds of stuff. But I can also, post some stuff out. Mindfulness is really helpful when trying to soothe sort of PTSD responses, but it's also really just helpful to learn to stay in the present moment, right? And not follow that negative stuff right down the hole. Mm-hmm. Mindfulness is really helpful. This is something, so I'm going to throw this out there. It's Thanksgiving. It's going to sound super hokey. And very often my clients look at me and they're like, you want me to what? And I'm like, I know, I hear you. But there is research that backs up this suggestion that I'm about to give. So I'm going to strongly urge the starting of a gratitude journal.
I was going to guess that. I was going to guess it. That's awesome. I don't think that's hokey.
But a lot of people do, because especially when you're in a really dark place.
Is that just everything you're like, thankful for?
What do I have? Yeah. Right? But here's what I tell people. I don't need these things that you write in your gratitude journal to be big things, because some days it's enough to just be grateful that you got out of bed today.
Or like, it's not raining today.
Right. Yeah. Right. I saw the sun today.
Yeah.
I remembered to brush my teeth. Like these sound silly, but when you're really having a tough time,
baby
those
steps.
Little things, they actually start to rewire your brain. And your brain starts to look for more of those things, right? So if you know that every night when you go to bed, you're going to write down 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for. And you start to do that consistently over the next, 5 to 10 days. By day 12 to 14, your brain is looking for those every day. And it can start to rewire your brain in a way that's beneficial. It doesn't change what's happening around you, but it does help your brain start to cope with it differently.
I'm going to piggyback on not only because you know better than I about the research and everything to that, but I was looking the other day, I'd been messaging back and forth with Kristen Beck, who was on Jody B's podcast, and they did excellent. It was a great episode. but we were talking about when next time she's in Atlanta, we want to have a beer with her and meet her in person. And she was doing a leadership conference recently, and I saw the picture on Instagram, and I was looking, and she was up, and she had wrote this whole diagram, and it's all these little bubbles that are interconnected, and the one that drew my eye to it was, your smile at someone could save their life today.
I've heard that before, I think.
So, and I know Kristen Beck, there's no bullshit there.
Yeah.
So that means
someone's smile saved her life.
Saved her life one day, maybe when she was... feeling bad, and someone walked by and smiled. And that's what I'm saying about your journal. If you even just wrote, somebody smiled at me today.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is that what else, and here's the thing, you can do this in your head, right? Like I get that. But what I'm really urging is that you write it down. And here's part of why. Because if you write it down on those days where you're walking a really fine line, you pull it out and you read it. And you remind yourself why you're not going to do the thing that's going to put you in the hole.
Yeah.
Like it's the place to go. And so you look at it sort of as this, I'm building myself a ladder out of the hole, because it's the continual reminder. And it doesn't mean every day is good. And it doesn't mean everything that you're grateful for is big and huge, but it does let you see the good in the day.
But it's like find at least one or two good things.
Yes.
Each
whatever
day.
They are.
Yeah.
Dinner tasted good today. Yesterday, I didn't feel like yesterday everything tasted like sawdust, but today something tasted good today. It doesn't have to be big stuff. But between like starting to use things like mindfulness techniques, and gratitude journals can help you stay in the present. Instead of running off into the worry of the future or sitting in the regret of the past, you can be present. And he mentioned he's got kids, right? Like one he doesn't see, but some he does.
Yeah, yeah.
They deserve his presence.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is mindfulness? To me, mindfulness also part of that is putting your phone away. Like being present to me, like nowadays, literally means your cell phone is not in your hand and you're in the moment. And because like I have to consciously tell myself that when I'm with Gunnar, I'm like, like if I'm playing with him or whatever, if I'm supposed to be like kind of working or whatever, like I have to have my phone. That's one thing. But like if it's literally just we're hanging out, I have to consciously tell myself like, because it's almost just like it's just a reflex to be like looking at your phone. But like nowadays, part of being mindful is like put that shit over where you can't reach it and literally like be there. Because your kids, I mean, I know Gunnar sometimes will be like, Mommy, put your phone down. I'm like, oh,
and
I also think there's a piece of this too that like, and those are some things that I'm recommending for himself. But I also want to put out there the importance of creating a support system, because that's too much to carry by yourself. So what is the support system that he can create that when he's struggling, he can pick up the phone and call, or he can show up at their house and say, do you have a few minutes? Cause I'm really struggling right now. This is too much for anyone to do alone. You can't do this alone. You have to find yourself people that like, if his sister's got a plan for suicide, he can't fix that by himself. He can't do that alone. That requires, a larger support system to be able to help with that. Like, he can't save his mother, but how does he find a way to say goodbye and spend the last moments with her that feel meaningful to him? That stuff, he might need support around those things. And so being able to ask for help is another huge piece of this.
Yeah. I mean, if I can get anything up, cause I know he's listening, he's a big time fan of yours, Rachel. He always talks about how he loves your episodes. So I know he'll be listening for sure, but as a buddy, all I can say is, man, definitely reach out and get, find yourself a therapist to talk to. I do it.
Yeah.
I love my therapist. I've said it every time I've been on here. No shame in it. I think it's great for whether you have an issue or not. And so there's no loss of, he's a tough guy, all that, but that doesn't mean anything, man. Find yourself a good therapist.
Yeah.
And this is too much.
And do it.
This is too much. Yeah.
There's no shame in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's only going to give you more tools, to get through this. And he can do it.
And, and I would venture to say the same thing for his sister. And I would, look, I do marriage and family therapy, right? Like I also don't know that family therapy, like I truly believe family therapy is a great tool for situations like this. There's about to be some serious transitions, right? Like, how do you utilize those things in a way that helps you support the kids and support yourself? If I don't know him well enough to know whether or not religion is a thing, but sometimes churches can be incredibly impactful and powerful around developing support systems. Or if you're involved in any sort of other civic group that, people can rally,
Yeah.
They just got to know you're struggling, and they just got to know how they can help.
Well, that's why, like good churches can be like one big, great, support group.
Yeah.
Like that's really what it can amount to.
It's not my thing, but I know lots of people who have gotten through the toughest times in their life through a church community. I would also say, there's a lot of times there's support groups, right? There's like, you might be able to find a trauma support group. And while your trauma may look different than other people's, it doesn't mean it's less valid for you to be there. And just that not being alone is really important, particularly when the holidays are as difficult as they are. It's very easy to isolate yourself and say, I don't want to bother anybody around this time. Like they've got their own stuff going on. But
that's the moral of this whole thing, is not being alone and knowing that you can't do it alone, and that like letting your wife know too, that like she can't expect herself to try and do it all by herself either. Like it takes a village for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what, what I know of Shane, I know him pretty well. He wants to feel like he's making a difference. And that's what he hopes with this podcast and bringing light to PTSD, which I think is great.
Yeah.
And so the more he can talk to other people, and it can be beneficial for everyone, I think. And
I think that's the route
I'm
he needs
trying
to go
really,
with it, for sure.
we've tried to give him help to get him off the ground with the show. It's Bearded Dad podcast. He is on Twitter and everything.
Well, and I'll throw out there, like, look, as someone who's dealt with PTSD, if you want to have that conversation with me, you let me know. I'll jump on. I'm happy to do that.
Boom. There, you got a huge guest right there, Shane. So
Superstar.
I love that. And
your sister's boyfriend have or is that another one?
What?
And your sister, is her boyfriend a PTSD?
I don't know if her current one is or not. She's had a bunch. That's a whole nother episode.
Are you sure she wants you to talk like
that?
that?
Yeah, that's a whole nother ball of.
Sorry, D.
No, I do want to jump because we got 3 more I want to get to so we don't miss any. This one breaks my heart, and it scared me that I was actually going to tear up, and I don't cry. And why Shane says I'm dead inside, I'm not sure, but I think it's because we've said it on here.
Because you're dead inside.
But clearly.
Except for very specific things.
Okay, well, you're probably right. Well, this is one of them then, because this one almost had me.
Anything with kids, probably, yeah.
My wife and I had kids young, and we did not have much money. There were many lean years where we had no choice but to do dollar store Christmases. Despite not being able to buy my kids much, those were my favorite Christmases. As they got older, we were able to provide them with all that they needed and then some. Around the holidays, I can't seem to forgive myself for the years that I could not buy them much. When I think about it too much, I feel like a failure.
Oh.
No real question here, just felt like getting that off my chest. Brooke and Randall, I love the show, And Rachel, you've helped me more than you could ever know. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Why would you feel like a failure?
See,
Did the
I'm
best you could.
about to tear up right now.
Okay,
I'm being
I'm-
honest.
yeah.
This sucks. This one hurts, man. I feel so bad for him, but also so good because he stuck through it, and they were young and they got their careers, and his kids, he shouldn't feel bad.
No.
At all.
But here's the thing, though. Like, we can say that, right? We can say, oh, you shouldn't feel bad, blah, blah, blah. But people walk around with this stuff. And so it's not as easy as saying, no, but look, now everybody's fine. It's great. But we do still walk around with that stuff that says, maybe I should have done better. Maybe I didn't do enough for them. Maybe I didn't, I wanted more. I wanted to do more. And hindsight's 2020, and it's a bitch. Like, it does tell you that you should have, could have, would have, blah, 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 blah. And what speaks volumes to me is that there was something about dollar store Christmases that still felt meaningful. And I think some of how you make peace with what was then was how you make sense of it. And if you can make sense of it in the way that we did the best we could with where we were, and our kids are healthy and happy.
Right.
And yeah, I would have liked to have done more for them. And I'm really grateful now that we were able to do more, because it sounds to me like those kids are pretty happy.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it says
And
it says that some of those were their favorite Christmases, which especially if they're young enough, the kids don't really care. You
can
feel
give 'em
such
boxes.
guilt. Yeah,
Right.
but you could give them.
The kids don't.
Yeah, and that's so.
And one way that I might suggest is maybe this Christmas asking the kids,
right.
what were the things what were your favorite memories of Christmases past, and maybe be able to hold on to those. And release a little bit of what wasn't, because it's always amazing what kids remember and what they don't. And
I'm sure it could help them unload some guilt, because it might be something you feel so guilty about that your kids remember as something so positive and is a good memory. And, there's no guarantee of it.
And I think how do you create some traditions around that? And here's a really interesting thing that's happening more and more around Christmas is I'm seeing more families do less. I've got multiple families that I know who do the 4 things for Christmas, like one thing you wear, one thing you play with, one thing you read, and like they're literally taking this down to 1 to 3, 4 things that these kids get, and they're trying to really bring Christmas down a notch or 2.
Not a bad idea.
No, and we've got a question about that in a minute.
So. Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what? Oh, no, wait. The next one is funny.
I just want to say to this guy, I'm glad he's a listener.
Yeah.
This is very sweet of him to say what he said. And you know what? I like your recommendation, Rachel. But as a kid that grew up with, parents that didn't have the most money.
That's why this hit you so hard, too.
Yeah, but my parents did great with what they had.
Did.
I mean, we may not have gotten a whole lot, but we never knew it. And that's how I bet his kids.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I know this hit you in a special light place, is because it hit home with you, because although your parents might not have had a whole lot of money when you were growing up, you never felt any less loved or like they didn't try. I mean, because I know for a fact that they did everything they could to give you everything you wanted. So, yeah.
Yeah, this was a toughie.
Oh, babe.
Yeah, this one's tough.
Well, we love you, whoever this listener is.
Yeah, that's so sweet. Thank you.
All right, so this one's funny.
This one is funny. I understand this one too.
This one I totally identify with too, because yeah. All right, is it weird to or make me a bad person because I hate eating with the older people in my family? Not trying to be a jerk, but watching them eat makes me lose my appetite. I feel like a shitbag for asking this. Okay, so that's kind of
I get it.
I get it. We don't have any people in our family that are that old.
No, but when we'd go to the jolly reunions.
That's exactly what I was thinking of in my head when we would go to those family reunions in Calpin. My eyes are watering. still
No, that
here.
was a tough one.
When we would go to those family reunions before Nanny and Papa died, it was all people that were 90 plus.
They lived forever on that side of the family.
90 plus over there eating
Bringing the heat on
and
the
it was
food.
like a potluck, and there's just stuff falling out their mouth, and I'm like, and I think one of the first times we went, I was pregnant, and I was like early pregnant, so I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it makes you bad for feeling that. You can't. You just can't say that, and you just got to
No.
You
Say
just
that
got to
one
bend and
out loud.
grin and bear it.
and just, you know what?
I get it though.
Just
Eat before you go.
Yeah, exactly. And then just eat after. Maybe
That's good advice.
pack it to go.
That's a great plan. Yeah, I ate a late breakfast. I'm not super hungry, but do you mind if I take some to go? Like that's a great plan.
I think that's what we did that year.
Because we're all going to be there someday, right? Like,
right. For sure. Yeah, one day we're going to be fucking
I'll be drooling out of the side of my face.
You already get food all in your beard.
Hey, they're going to love it.
I want to see those pictures on Christmas.
Oh, yeah. All the time he'll be eating, and I'm like, right here. No, right here. No, right here. Just let me get it.
I just wanted the listener to know that that's hilarious, and it's not I totally get it.
They're not alone at all.
Alone.
No, lots of people feel the same.
All right, you want to hit the next one, babe? Or did you ask that
I
one?
just did that
okay.
one. Yeah.
How old were each of you when you stopped believing in Santa Claus?
I remember the exact Christmas.
What age is it acceptable to break the news to your kid about Santa? All right, you go first, babe, and then Rachel, then I'll go.
Yeah, I remember the exact Christmas. I can't tell you how old I was, but it was we were in Marietta. So we were in Marietta. I got a 10-speed for Christmas from Santa, air quotes. I swore I heard the reindeer on the roof because every year I heard them every year somehow, like, God, being a kid was great. And I was like, maybe I did hear it, but it was my very last year. I think I was 10. I think 10.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But it was, I got a 10-speed, but I remember coming down and I was like, it was like, my brain was like half and half. It was like, bitch, please. And then the other half was like, but you heard the reindeer. So, yeah, I think I was 10.
Well, so when do you think is the appropriate age to tell your kid?
10.
All right. Rachel, your thoughts.
I don't remember how old I was.
Probably
I
younger.
had much younger siblings, so I think I played along a lot longer.
Yeah, see, I was the baby.
That's the job.
Yeah.
I was the baby, so that's why I was 10. I think most people
and
are
I'm
8.
the oldest, and so my siblings were like 6, 8, and 9 years younger than me. So I sort of had to but I think like you, it was like between the ages of 8 and 10. And you're right. There's this piece that like wants to believe longer, right? Like
I want to believe now.
Like I tried to get out of the whole, like with my kids. So I worked at Justice, the little kids clothing store.
The little girl clothing store.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yep. My nieces shopped there.
Right.
I loved going in that store. I was like, let's go shopping. It was way before I had kids. Oh,
right.
Yes.
So and then before that, like I worked at Barnes & Noble. And so my kids like always had books for Christmas. And so like my kids were really like, we know there's no Easter Bunny and we know there's no Santa Claus because, there's like justice tags on stuff. This is McLaren. Like there's justice tags on stuff. And I said, no, Santa just comes and gets it.
Santa goes to the store and gets it, McLaren.
Right.
Fuck.
I'm like, I see Santa, I see Santa's elves on the regular, kiddo. Like, what are you talking about? I used to tell kids this all the time.
Quit being so smart. Damn it.
Well, but then one year, I want to say they were probably 5 and 8, maybe.
No.
And they said, and they said, so I think Mason was around 8 or 9, and he's like, Mom, I know there's no Santa Claus. And
he said it in front of McLaren?
With McLaren, and I'm like,
I'd have open hand slapped him. I'm just kidding.
No, because I wanted out of having to wrap freaking presents on Christmas Eve. Like I was like, yes, we're gonna get over this piece, right?
Oh, you did all the presents? See, we've always done just one present from Santa. So like and that's my whole childhood too. So that's what I've carried on here.
So, no, I would wrap all those freaking
presents.
No.
Yeah, it's just
and
one.
I was ready to be done. And so I'm like, yeah, you're right. There's no Santa Claus. And everybody seemed okay with this. And McLaren was like, yeah, I know. Cause I've seen tags around, and so I thought they bought in, right? I'm like, okay, cool. We're done with this. The next year I start wrapping presents early and putting them under the tree. And they're like, what are you doing? And I said, y'all remember you don't believe in Santa Claus. We didn't say that.
Oh no. See, that's a whole, I can't, I've never been around that where it's like
bad.
Every single present.
That's how I grew up too.
Really? Every single present was Santa?
Yeah.
You never told me that.
Yeah.
You just eased right into my whole thing.
Babe, we got like 5.
I know, but I'm telling you, I never knew that, babe. You so easily were like, cool, one present that's unwrapped out in the front. Like you acted like that's how it happened for you as a kid.
Yeah, well, I guess it's kind of a mixture actually of how I grew up. We would have like a few that were like family gifts and you would get to open one on Christmas Eve, but they were just from family.
Yes.
Like aunts, uncle, nanny and them. You'd pick one of those but Santa brought your load.
No, Santa was the one big present. So like
I like how we do it. I'm with you.
That's a way better deal.
Oh, see, my family.
But I think it just depends on your families, right? Like my mom didn't ever put anything under the tree when we were little. Like I remember getting up in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because I knew like all the stockings would be filled, all the presents would be under the tree, and like I wanted to see it before I was allowed to get up because I was never allowed to get up before 7.
I always wanted to do that, but I never did. Like,
I did. I was terrible. Well, but I was also a snoop. Like I would search for stuff.
I did that too, and then I'd get pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other deal. Because both my kids said that too. They're like, you hid stuff in the closet. We knew where it was. I'm like, then why did y'all make me do the Santa Claus crap for like 2 more years? Like, what were you doing?
I'm going to tell you, for me, it's very similar to what you were saying, Rachel. I found out about there being no Santa by default because Chris was having the talk with my mom, and I was too young, so I was pissed off. First off, like my first thought was I was pissed at my mom. I was like, so you've been lying to me all this time.
Randall.
You are a liar, mother. How could you do this to me?
And your mom is the sweetest person.
Of course she is. But
she was probably heartbroken.
I remember the specific. I remember how I felt, like being like, I can't believe I've been duped. Like I don't know how old I was, 7, 8, whatever. But I was like, this is what is real. Yeah. What is am I real? Do these people, are they really my friends?
I was so much younger than my siblings. It was so well beyond like, because I mean, if I was 10, my sisters were 20 and 21. Like it was so far beyond. That's why I lasted till 10.
Yes, that's exactly
because they were like, who cares?
Well, that's why to me, my recommendation to people, like people, I've been asked this question before. I say let your kids believe as long as they fucking can in the magic of Christmas.
I will cherish it as long as. How old was Griffin? Because I actually got to experience it with Griffin because we had the first couple years.
I think it was like 10.
Griffin 11. was 7 when he started coming here, and we had him the first. So we've never had him for like full on Christmas, but like if we were when he was younger, it was like we were supposed to have him for Christmas, but we would be like, Santa's coming here Christmas Eve, you're going to be at your mom's Christmas, because he was still young. And I got to do the whole thing of like setting the alarm at like, we had all his presents like down behind the bar and in the garage, and like I set the alarm for like 2:30 in the morning because that kid stayed up super late for a 7-year-old. And so I got up and like went down and got like a bunch of presents that we were going to be setting out. And because it was really just like 2 or 3 like big presents, but it was so fun. And it was my first, like, because I wasn't a mom yet either. It was like my first, like, I'm a mom experience, and it was so fucking fun. And then I think he was like 9 or 10.
Yeah, and I remember the way it was
then
brought up.
Gunnar was born the next year.
He was on the fence, and I was driving him back to Alabama, and we've had him on actual Christmas morning a couple times.
Right. Well, one, I think maybe.
Yeah, because he was here 2 Christmases ago when we got Gunnar's first real good reaction on video.
Oh, coming around the corner. Oh, yeah, that was good.
Which was
real
classic. Good. But anyway, that's not here nor there. But I remember riding with him, and he brought it up of like, you know what, Dad? Some of my friends say Santa's not real.
Yeah. No, I remember you telling me that, and I was like,
It's always friends. It's always friends who blow it.
And so the year before, he was like, you know what? Some of my friends say Santa's not real. I don't believe them. And I was like, good for you, son. And then the next year, he's like, you know what? I know, Dad.
I know. And it's like they just figure it out. I don't ever want, and that's how I kind of want it to happen with Gunnar. Like, figure it out on your own, and you tell me when you don't believe. Like, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, they asked me, and I self-admitted, I'm the biggest, I mean, clearly, because this episode's touched me because I love Christmas, and I still believe in Christmas and Santa Claus to a degree. And that's what we'll go into the, like, ask the next question because it leads right into that. And this is the last one.
Oh, this is the last one. Okay. Hey guys, as always, I'm super excited about Rachel's visit. Here's my question. What is Christmas to you? Is it just presents? Is it Santa Claus? Is it family? I look forward to hearing each of your answers. Okay, baby, you go first.
Well, see, that's for me. That's what I'm saying. I'm still like, it's not Santa Claus to me, but it's the whole anything is possible at Christmas. And I think everyone should now more than ever could take advantage of that break in time to believe in something that, you know what, anything's possible. And especially for our kids. It's just so big. So that's what it means to me is endless possibilities.
Just, believing in endless possibilities.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Santa, however you look at Santa, whether he's a person or, I've always,
just
like when I told Griffin, it was just, it's a spirit of giving, and that's not unreal. So when he was like, you know what, it's not real, I was like, that's not necessarily true. Because, Santa Claus is really a spirit of giving and helping others and giving them, presents or time or volunteering and doing some work. It's
not about a guy in a sleigh delivering presents.
No, it's about that whole essence to me.
Yeah.
Y'all are welcome.
I agree with that totally.
You're up,
That's
Rachel.
all you have to say, Brooke?
Well, I have plenty to say, but I feel like I already said it. I mean, like, I went on forever about Christmas. It's and I want to do the, like, Christian thing of it's Jesus' birthday. And I'll say that to Gunnar every once in a while. He's like, who's Jesus? I'm like, I'm not getting into that with you. Because he was saying something about like because he thinks his birthday party was this past Saturday, so he thinks on his actual birthday that he's getting another party, and I'm like, no.
Oh, yeah,
like that was your party. Your birthday might be the 23rd, but we're just gonna be like, happy birthday, high five. And I was like, the next birthday around here is Jesus's birthday on Christmas. After Daddy's, after you and Daddy is Jesus. That's when you get presents. But then it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, we see like his face right on Christmas morning. It's the best.
That's
right?
the best feeling in the world.
But that's the look on my face when everyone in our family is able to open their presents.
I know.
And that's never changed. And so to me, that's what I'm saying. Like, you want to bottle that.
Just the whole essence of,
because of all this stress and anxiety that clearly people have more of than I expected from these questions. If you got to hold on to something, it's hard because sometimes, the students become the teachers, but just look at the kids, and watch their face. Try to,
just for simple things,
drop some of this for a minute and enjoy that part.
Even like simple things just around the holidays when you go to like the light shows and things like that. Just things that don't cost a whole lot of money. So even if it's like we don't have enough money to give our kids tons of presents, take them to just Christmas festivals.
Go
and
drive
things
the
like
neighborhoods.
That. Yeah,
look at the Christmas lights.
Like that just makes my heart happy to do stuff like that around the holidays. That's why Christmas is so just, I don't know, it just makes me so excited.
Yeah, I'm with you in the lights and the, the windows. So we were in New York City, not last weekend, the weekend before.
Ooh.
And like Bloomingdale's, Saks didn't have their windows done, but Bloomingdale's had their windows done. And I've like from the time I was little, so on State Street in Chicago, it used to be Marshall Fields. It's now Macy's, but they always did the windows. And when I was little, that was a thing that we did.
With like the live mannequins?
Yeah, like all the Christmas windows, usually like animatronics of some kind, just really fabulously done windows. Christmas windows are still one of my all-time favorite things. They make my heart happy.
Mm-hmm.
I was super disappointed in Macy's on State Street this year. They repeated their windows from last year.
Weak sauce. That's fucking lame.
But so when we went to New York City and Bloomingdale's had their windows done already, I was like, oh, okay, my heart's a little bit better. But
they just did their tree this weekend too, didn't they? In Rockefeller Center? Yeah.
And so I do a real Christmas tree. Always do a real Christmas tree.
I can't breathe if we do a real Christmas tree, so sorry.
So yeah, it's a real Christmas tree is my deal. I love lights I love lights on the tree.
That smell like it.
We leave ours on they're on all the time. Like
ours too. Yeah, our lights are on inside and outside right now.
I don't do outside lights just because I don't want to have to take them down later because it's cold. But it's also for me like it's similar to you, Randall, in the it's the sort of that spirit of the season. I'm a huge fan of Christmas, like the Rankin and Bass Christmas shows. So we'll watch The Year Without a Santa Claus. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Christmas Vacation.
One of my favorites is Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus.
Oh, I don't know.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen Yes, Virginia?
No, I'm writing it down though.
You should find you'll love it. You'll cry.
Great.
But it's actually loosely based off of a true story. But it's that whole, it's more than the thing you get. It's the thing you give, and it's the idea around the season more than. Yes, I love
every Christmas movie,
Christmas trees and presents and all of that. But it's the idea, right? The giving and the love and the connect, the intentional connection to people.
Yeah. Polar Express is becoming one of my favorite Christmas movies.
I love Polar Express.
I love the book. I don't love the movie.
You don't?
The other one I love is, have you seen Prep and Landing?
Nope.
No.
That's my other favorite one. I love Prep and Landing. It's a newer Disney one. It's about the elves. And it's so good. There's 2 of them. You should see them.
Holy shit! Yeah, I have to watch it, especially if it's Disney.
Yeah,
of course,
we'll
it's good.
watch that.
They're amazing. I love those. But I love all the Christmas
I have
movies.
seen those.
I will
Holy
sit
shit!
around and watch.
It's the elves that land on the roof.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As soon as you were, sorry. They came on right after Polar Express last year, and we just kind of rolled right into it, and I was like, well, this is adorable.
It's my favorite new one.
Yes.
Other than that, I like all the old ones. I even like Rudolph's Shiny New Year, right? It's super cheesy, but I love it. And
yes, it's adorable. Yeah.
So for me, that's the thing. We have traditions around Christmas. The kids will suck it up and watch. They don't like White Christmas, but they watch it with me. We'll do zoo lights at the zoo. Lincoln Park Zoo has them, as does Brookfield, which are the big Chicago zoos. So we do those kinds of things, and that's the stuff I really love. The presents are fine, they're great, but I could skip that piece completely and still get what I love to get from Christmas.
We've got the Stone Mountain tradition. There's Stone Mountain Christmas here.
Okay.
I'm sure, I don't know if you know of Stone Mountain here in Atlanta, but they've got a little village that's right there by the mountain.
It's the North Pole.
And they make it,
gotcha.
It's in November, they turn it into the North Pole, all the way through Christmas. And they have what's called, and Snow Mountain is open too. So they within Stone Mountain Park, they have where you can go snow tubing and stuff, but it's like this little village that they completely cover in Christmas lights, and every night they have a parade. So like right before Christmas, it's like a tradition for all of us to go. That we started doing it when Gunnar, like, he was just born. He was like 6 weeks old.
Yeah, he was
so
tiny.
we have the first time we started going, we got Gunnar, and Gunnar's first picture was Santa with Griffin. So Santa's holding like 6 weeks old Gunnar. and it's just, and he's like the most awesome Santa, and he's there every year, and it's just, you go to this place and it's like you can't not be happy.
No,
it's
and they
like,
do a great job of exhibiting Mrs. Claus at Snow Mountain.
Oh,
she's pretty much bigger than Santa.
Yes,
like,
they
she
had
does
this
story
whole,
time.
Yeah, where she comes out and reads stories to all the kids, and it's just, I mean, and every year that we've gone, like at first it was Griffin that was all super excited and like wanting to be in the front row, and now like Gunnar. I know, and we're like, hey, move over.
I'm kicking them out of the way.
I know. It's just that, like, that's one of our, like, it's officially like its own once we're able to get to Stone Mountain and do that whole Christmas thing. And then if it's a little cold out, it makes it even better. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, so another one that we do here is, and my kids hate this one, they won't watch it with me, but Tom will watch it with me, is Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
I don't know that one either.
That's right. So that one, I clearly have a Christmas, show / movie issue, but that one is an old Jim Henson, like super old Jim Henson show. So
like
it's all the
Muppets.
It's Muppets and whatever.
Well, we've got a list now of stuff
love.
we can check out.
Yeah. Okay. I know Prep and Landing though. Now I remember me and Gunnar watched that last year.
I got to watch the Virginia.
Yes, Virginia. Yeah,
I watched
Yes, Virginia.
And then Jug Band Christmas, Emmett Otters.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Well, here's what I wanted to say to all the listeners
for those on Uverse.
before we go, is that, and not trying to be preachy or anything, but we've had a couple questions asked about it, and it does a lot for, I think, our sanity. So if it helps us, I think it can help others. Is, if you have the opportunity during the holidays to give any of your time or money, if you have it, to other programs, there's a couple that we do work with, and the reason I bring that up is just because we were asked. We don't normally just, don't want to be those douches that throw out what we do for, work, charity work, but Meals on Wheels, we do that on Thanksgiving. If you want to make yourself feel good and meet some of the nicest people around that you would not normally meet, do Meals on Wheels. It's fantastic. We did it last year, and we had both the kids with us, and I felt like it was super eye-opening especially for Griffin.
Right.
At his age.
Yeah, Gunnar,
to deliver those meals to some of these people that, don't have the means. He needed to see that. And I think everyone needs to see that.
And Gunnar was just there to make those people smile.
Oh, he was great.
Because he was the one that would want to carry all the boxes up, or like whatever box he could carry, and be like, and we told him, say, Happy Thanksgiving.
But when you do that, or for me, you get such a bigger, and I know it's cliche and sounds ridiculous, but it's a way bigger gift for you to do that. Because see, for one, there's people that rely on that. They can't physically get...
Everybody we took stuff to, they relied on it.
Well, I mean, it can be income or physical, but we met a lot of people that physically, they just couldn't get out and get the stuff to get themselves a Thanksgiving dinner. And the food looks fantastic. We saw it all boxed up. Like
each house got like 3 boxes of, because like Thanksgiving is like, that's why they need extra help, because it's more stuff. But I mean, if there's anything like that in anybody's area that's listening, it makes
so worth it.
It helps others and makes you feel good too. And it doesn't take long either. I mean, it was,
No, they divide you up. You get like 8.
It's a well-oiled machine over there.
8 addresses to hit.
Yeah.
And you call them up and say, hey, this is, I had Griffin calling people. He's like, this is Griffin with Meals on Wheels. And we're about 5 minutes out. And they'll be like, oh, thank you so much. Okay. And they'll be, at the door ready to.
Yeah.
it's just powerful, you know, and this is a time when we should embrace everybody and each other instead of all the normal, you know, we have so much time in the year to split up and have our fights. You know, this is such a good time to help some people if you have the time or the means.
Yeah, if you have the time or the means, it's definitely, you know, it does the heart good, and it also does the hearts of others good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that's it, Rachel. I think we're set for now.
We got through all our questions in order.
Look at that. Nice job, Randall.
Good job,
Yeah,
babe.
we did do them in order.
So proud.
Yep. And I didn't get emotional. Y'all did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, y'all need to stop.
Y'all need to suck it up.
In December, if we're talking in December, then I want to hear all about how much you choked up after you watched Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah. If you're saying it now, I'm like, good God, I'm gonna have to watch it alone. I won't be able to watch it.
I know. What day is it going to be?
Because I'll just be kicking Brooke. I'll be kicking Brooke out like, you gotta go.
He'll just be like, I gotta pee. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's gonna be shit. It's gonna be December 17th. So
that's perfect. Right, the week before it gets
right before Christmas. Okay. So we're gonna have watched all this Christmas shit before then, though.
So are we just talking Christmas stuff that day, or are we gonna?
I don't know. This was such a great topic that I had no faith in, Rachel. So you come up with it again.
Do you want me to? So here's a thought. If anybody still has questions about family stuff, the closer we get to Christmas, or if things have happened, we can do some of those. But I'm also thinking maybe we should talk about New Year's and New Year's resolutions.
Oh, that's because we're not going to have another one before New Year's.
That is going to be
You're
jamming.
So smart,
that one's an easy score.
You're so smart. All right.
Oh, sometimes.
Have my moment.
I love that. Perfect.
Yes,
that's
New
easy.
Year's resolution. Okay. I love
Sounds
it.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell Shane, you know, to reach out to you and holler at you about maybe getting together sometime and talking and.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. That's totally cool.
You're the best for that and for
awesome.
everything else. So if we don't talk to you, you have a happy Thanksgiving, Rachel. Tell your family the same.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.
And that was Rachel.
Okay, that was so good. We got through all our questions.
We did. We got through all of them.
And we got to talk about Christmas so much, which makes me happy.
I know. I'm glad I got to pretend like I give a shit.
I know. You're not dead inside at Christmas time.
I'm just an actor.
Just at Christmas time. You're not dead inside.
I love Christmas time.
I know.
It's the best time.
It really is. Gunnar came out this morning after I had wrapped some presents last night and was like, can I open them? I'm like, no. You got a month, kid, to stare at these presents under the tree. That's the one.
I had some strong questions though.
Yeah.
A good mixture of some heavy, some you know, I like the one about watching the old people eat. That's hilarious.
I know.
And so true.
So fucking true. I can't. It makes me. Yeah. Nope.
No, it hurts me. All right. Well, you guys heard it. Rachel Miller will be back December 17th. Where we'll be talking about if you have any residual family issue questions or follow-ups from these. But also some New Year's resolutions. So we can mock them.
So we can tell you how you're going to fail.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, I don't know what Rachel's going to
I don't ever make New Year's resolutions anymore.
I don't either.
I used to make stupid ones like I'm going to save more money. Like I literally my whole life have been like, I'm not going to over promise because you'll
underdeliver.
Because I'll underdeliver automatically. It's not like I'm going to do a life-changing event for my New Year's resolution. Nope. Just be healthy and be better all year round, and then you don't have to wait till New Year's, right? Is that the...
Yeah. Well, we've got a couple things coming up. You guys will be hearing it probably shortly after, but tomorrow we have Mo Mandel and Dr. Ashley Winters.
We're talking to them tomorrow, but probably by the time this is posted, it will have already happened.
Yeah, so fuck you.
So
enjoy it.
That will be the next episode that comes out, though. After you listen to this, regardless of when we recorded it, that will be the next episode. Will be Mo and Ashley from the Full Release podcast.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Jen Active coming up.
Do we have her scheduled?
Yeah, it's a while away.
Oh, okay.
But she'll be coming up. She's the one that wrote Surviving 7.
Did you put it on our calendar, on our Gmail calendar?
No.
You suck.
And be looking for something soon with Jason Almy. We'll have a date to announce sometime soon. From shit happens when you party naked.
I heard Jason Aldean when you said that.
Yeah, Almy.
I was like, what?
I can't wait to record with him. I listened to a bunch of his episodes when I was going to get Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's funny. He's fucking talented. He's good.
You said he's a youngster?
No, he's like...
I thought you said he was like Maggie's age.
No. They have the same major and graduate.
I thought you were saying they're the same age. I was like, no. He's 21?
No, they're not the same age.
Okay.
But he's good at what he does. And, of course, we got to do our shout-outs. Drinks with Larry, Po Boys podcast.
Blunt Mommy. Murderish.
Yeah, we haven't given Jamie a shout-out in a while.
I know.
For a show. And who else? Shit Happens When You Party Naked. Who's Right podcast. Bearded Dad podcast. Check him out. Shane coming hard. Already got him set up now. I mean, shit, if he can pull a Rachel Miller episode 2 or 3, she's guaranteed to bring the...
And the Full Release pod. If y'all like our podcast, for fuck's sake, you'll love their podcast.
Shit's way better.
He's a professional comedian and she's a dick doctor. For fuck's sake.
You can't beat it. It's so good.
It's a winning combination. Winning.
Yeah. They're fucking the shit. So
I'm super excited to talk to them. I feel like I'm just gonna be silent and just be like, are like the famous versions of us.
Yeah.
Except I'm not a doctor and you're not a professional comedian, but
No, so good things coming up. So y'all be prepared.
Yeah.
Enjoy your holidays and each other.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And each other's genitals.
Uh-huh.
Fuck you, though.
Oh, that was so aggressive.
Fuck you. Merry Christmas.